Analyser 7, and we'll be taking a look tonight at some of the D2MX trade tools, in particular the Analyser and the Analyser Wizard. So what we'll be looking at this evening is how to use these tools that should be fairly familiar. They were included in Market Analyser Pro and the previous versions Market Analyser 6. So if you've been using them in the past, not much has changed, but there are a few differences which we'll highlight tonight just to make your transition as easy as possible. My name's Jeff Cartridge. I'll be running the presentation tonight, and a couple of things on the mechanics of it. The first part of the presentation will be around the presentation briefly where I'll run you through the new tools and how to use them, and then from there what I'll do is I'll take you through an open question and answer. So the first 20 minutes or so we'll take a look at the analyzer, and if we can keep that the focus on that, then that will be good. And then the second half, open questions, any part of the platform that you want to ask questions on. Comment from Vincent, he's worked out how to do it. Just type in a question and it pops up on my screen, and he's never used the Analyzer or the Analyser Wizard before. So Vincent, for you tonight will be something new as we go through this. It's a great tool and can save you a lot of time when you're looking for opportunities in the market. So we'll certainly run through that this evening. Now, just before we get underway, the presentation will be recorded, and it will be posted on the blog, the Trader Dealer blog. So there'll be an opportunity to review it again if you want to go over anything or you've missed anything. I will attempt to answer questions as we go through, but as I said, in the first half I'll keep the questions or the answers to the questions focused on the analyzer part of it. And then later on we'll move into other questions. The D2MX trade tools, the Analyser Wizard, there's a key difference between what's in the new platform, MA7, and what was in your old platform. And that is that the analyzer runs on the latest data as of now, whatever now is. So at the end of the day, as the markets are closed, we'll run on the closing price. That's the latest data that we have for the trading day. But during the day, it will run on the data at the time. So if you run it at 10:30 in the morning, then you will actually get the scan as of 10:30 in the morning, those shares that have met that criteria. Also, if you run it at say 3:30 in the afternoon, you'll get that before the market closes, the scan results as well. So it is running on live data, and it's the last traded price that it's running on. Now in the old version it just ran on yesterday's closing price, whatever that happened to be. So it's quite a step forward and allows you to scan and find out whether your criteria has been met during the day. So it's certainly an advantage there. As we go up into the D2MX trade tools, the analyzer's up in here. You can click on that and we'll bring up a reasonably familiar looking window from the previous program. We can run on a range of preset indicators. So the pre-alerts are in here and we can actually scan on those. You can run on various technical indicators. You've got the accumulations, average true range, all of your standard indicators are available in here. And we'll have a look down the bottom. We've got the combination indicators, which is what we can create using the Analyser Wizard. And I'll take a look at the Analyser Wizard after this. So if we're just going to set up a standard scan and we wanted to find a situation where, say, the commodity channel index is oversold, we just select that. We can then set the criteria. So if we're using a 14-day and oversold, we'll just define as under minus 70, and we're looking for an oversold situation. We could look at overbought above 70. That's the other way to do it. But for today, we've had a bit of a drop in the market the last few days. Let's look at those shares that are oversold based on the commodity channel index. We can then choose the watch list we want to analyze. Now the standard watch lists in here are the ASX 20, ASX 50, ASX 100. It's also the 200 and the 300 are set up in there. But there's also all my custom watch lists which I've created, so I could scan on anything such as pharmaceuticals, my own watch list wherever I created that from, the medium cap market. I've got a variety of watch lists that I've created that I could scan as well. For now we'll just pick up the ASX top 20 and run it on that. The more shares that you include, the longer it will obviously take, because it's got to have a look at not just 20 companies, it's got to have a look at 200 or 300. One of the things at the moment that's not available in here is to scan the whole market for the criteria. Now that's something that we are working on, and we will have that, adding that facility in where you can scan the entire market. But at the moment you can scan the top 300 or the All Ordinaries, which is about the top 330 shares in the market. So you can scan either of those, and the whole market is coming. That is an option that you will have. So once we've got it set up as to what we're looking for, just click the Calculate button and we'll go out and scan the market. And what we see here is that NAB, ORG and Rio are all oversold based on the criteria that we've set. To bring up one of the charts of these, all I have to do now is double click on it. So double click on NAB and up pops the chart of NAB. And then I can have a look and see whether I'm interested in NAB as a trading opportunity or not. Double click on ORG and I can do the same thing. I personally prefer candlesticks, so have a look at ORG, and am I interested in ORG? If I pop on the Commodity Channel Index indicator, which is hiding over here, and the signal line, and we set it at minus 70, plus 70 there, tell it OK. We'll see the signal in the bottom of the screen there. So it just kicked up off that minus 70 level, and that's where the analyzer's picked up that it's just turned up off that level. That's ORG, double click on Rio, and up comes the chart of Rio over here as well. Where'd it go? There's Rio's chart. And again, if we're interested in picking up on Rio, then that's an opportunity. Question from Steve. MA7 has not got a filter for volume and price as the previous versions. Is this coming? Yes, it is, Steve. It's something we're adding in, and we'll be adding to the analyzer, where once you get your results, you can then filter it and say, I'm only interested in the shares that are under $10 or under $2 or whatever it is that you're wanting there. Or I'm only interested in the shares that have volume over such and such a level. So that will be included in one of the future releases. Question from Neil, can we scan through the analyzer results using the dedicated icons displayed from the chart? I'm not quite sure on what you mean by the icons displayed from the chart. What we can do is scan the list of shares that have come up. So there is a way to actually scan the list. If we've got looking at the share here, we can't use these buttons here to now scan through the analyzer list as it is. So we can't do next code in the watch list through here because we don't have the watch list as such as the scan results. But there is a way around it where we can take the list and actually create a watch list which we can then scroll through. So if I click on the first one, hold down the Shift key and click on the last one, I highlight all of them here. I then Control C, copy these here, and go over to the watch list. So all I'm doing is copying the scan results. I'm going to quote, I'll clear the watch list that I've got, and I can import or paste into here. I'll import the data. So now I've got a watch list that has the information in. So we've got the 3 shares there. If I save that as my scan 1, let's call it, and tell it OK. What I've done is I've created a watch list called scan 1. This user watch list will be in here, and there it is, scan 1. Now when I go to the chart, I can right click on the chart, select the watch list, and there's scan 1. Select that, and now what I can do is simply scroll through the watch list that I've selected. So NAB, ORG, and Rio, and I can scroll through that watch list as many times as I choose. So it is possible to take the results and scan them using the charts, but it is a little bit of a workaround to get to that point. So either you can double click through the list directly out of the analyzer, so just double click on the shares, or you can copy those into a new watch list which you can create, and then that will allow you to scan through the watch list. Quite useful if you've got a large list, so you've got, say, you've scanned the top 200 and you've got 30 or 40 shares to look at, then that's quite a useful way to approach it. So I'll run through that again on one of the future scans that we run. So just so that you get familiar with how to do that, because it is quite a useful tool to have. So that was a standard scan, and there's plenty of other scans in here that we can do. So we could be looking for a MACD crossover and see if we get any crossovers in the last day. But remembering, with the MACD, all we're looking at is the latest data. So the crossover has to happen in the latest bar. And if the crossover hasn't happened in the latest bar, then the criteria has not been met, which in this case it hasn't. So this is where we can use the Analyser Wizard and start looking at more options in here. Right-hand side of the charts, the watch list icons or buttons on the chart is another icon which used to step directly from the step through directly from the Analyzer results. Is this button active? Not at the moment, no, it's not active, and it's not available. So that button that you used to use is not active. You'll have to put them into a watch list, as I showed before, to be able to scan through them. That button that you were using is not active currently. So coming back to the MACD and what we're trying to do here, if we go into the Analyser Wizard, the Analyser Wizard gives us some functionality which isn't available directly in the Analyzer. And I create a new one called MACD and tell it OK. I'll scroll down, and I'm looking for the MACD in here, MACD crossover. Add that into the Analyser Wizard. Now all of the parameters here are fairly standard. As you can see, 12, 26 and 9 are the standard MACD parameters. What we're looking for is, say, a cross above or below. Let's look for a cross below, as the market's turned down recently. And the look back period is the key here. If we leave the look back as 0, then what happens is looks for the last bar and says, is that valid right now? So is it valid on the latest data? And if it's not, then it won't come up with a result. But if we set the look back period to, say, 3 days, is that valid in the last 3 periods, the last 3 days, then we can look back and see whether we had a crossover recently rather than just a crossover right on the last bar. Then what you're looking to do, that it's got to be current right now. So have we had a recent MACD crossover based on the last 3 days? We'll save that, it's been created. Now when I go back into the analyzer, and I can find the analyzer down the bottom here, just by clicking on Analyzer, and we'll just swap that to below signal, calculate, MACD crossover, below signal, just see if there's anything comes up below signal today, and then we'll have a look if there's anything below the signal in the last 3 days. So it's crossed down in the last 3 days. Seem to, so go back into the analyzer again, MACD crossover, below the signal, top 20, and calculate. So we've got 2 of them today that met that criteria, but if we then go and select the indicator that we've created, the MACD here, and click calculate, we've now got 7 or 8 that have met that criteria in the last 3 days. So this is how we can look back over the last 3 periods or 3 days to find whether the signals are there. And you can obviously change that look back period to anything that you choose, any period of time. But that's one of the ways you can use the Market Analyser Wizard to set up and look for the criteria that you're looking for. The other thing that you can do with the Market Analyser Wizard is combine indicators. Now, when we're combining indicators, we can say, well, we want 2 criteria to be valid at the same time. With the analyzer itself, we can only choose 1 criteria at a time. But with the Analyser Wizard, the possibilities are endless. Indicators in as many different ways as we choose. So we'll create a new one, and we'll call it a pullback indicator, and tell it OK. And what we're going to look at here is for an oversold situation. So again, we used commodity channel index before. Let's have a look at that. Commodity channel index oversold below the minus 70. And that's the parameters. And so we've set that up that if the commodity channel is oversold below minus 70, then we're looking at the information here. Another question from Neil. Is it possible to look back on weekly periods or periods other than daily? As far as the look back goes, it works on daily periods in the Analyser Wizard. It's possible to scan on weekly data using the trading system. And you can set up your criteria in the trading system to scan weekly. And we'll be looking at that at the next webinar, which is on Tuesday next week. We'll go through how to do the weekly scans in the trading system, because it's one of these sort of advanced tricks that are there. You're not looking to run necessarily, or you're still running live on the system, but you just set up that I want to scan weekly rather than daily in there. But in the analyzer itself, you can't set up weekly, so your look back here is always daily. But you can look back 5 days, or you could look back 10 days to get 2 weeks back. So with this, we've got an oversold condition, but we may only want that oversold condition if the market is in an uptrend. So if the market is rising, and we can do that with, say, a moving average, and we'll add that in as well. Now we've got a 3 period is above the 9 period. We could change that to say 5 days above the 20 day. And that's telling us that the market is an uptrend because the moving averages are above. Now it comes down to the look back periods that we put on this. So when do we want the oversold condition to happen, and when do we want the uptrend to happen? So if the uptrend is a look back of, say, in the last 2 days, or last 3 days, that we've been in an uptrend is what we're looking for. And we're looking for that the CCI has been oversold within the last 2 days. So what we can do is pull that back, and now what we're looking at is that if the market is in an uptrend and the share is pulled back in the last 2 days, then what we'll look at is the outcome from that. Elizabeth, just your question around the pricing. You note that pricing is shown in cents, not dollars, and we'll come to that a little bit later on, but pricing is shown in cents rather than dollars. So $24.95 rather than 24.95 is the old way that it was shown. It's now shown as 24.95 cents. But we'll come back to questions like that after we've to finish up in here. So what we've got now is we've created our new pullback system. So what we'll do here is save that, and we'll go back to the scan, and what we'll do is we'll then come through and what do we call it? Pullback. No. Just go back to the Analyser Wizard. So save indicator successfully created. Oh, so Elizabeth, sorry, you comment the scan is still showing the pricing in dollars and cents, whereas the rest of the program is showing it in cents. I understand. Apologies for that. So yeah, the pricing here is shown in dollars and cents, whereas it was cents in the rest of the program, but it's still showing dollars and cents here. Something that we are looking at is the capability to set up how you display the dollars and cents on the charts. It's something that we are aware of and looking at this point in time. So coming back in here, we'll open up a new analyzer. And have a look at our pullback system, calculate that, and now we've found the shares that have pulled back in an uptrend, and that's the shares that have met that criteria. NAB, RRG and Rio have come through in that criteria. So the analyzer can be used to combine indicators together and find different criteria by doing that. Once we've set it up in the Analyser Wizard and created that indicator, we can then run a scan, and the scan will find that criteria that we're looking for. So Kirsty, just comment, with the old version, I've only ever used the accumulation analysis. Is this enough to check if a share is a possible buy? The scans you are showing me now are a bit sophisticated for me, a trading novice. Kirsty, you don't have to obviously use the Analyser Wizard like we are. You can just simply come in and select any of the indicators in here and run a scan on it. Distribution indicator, calculate that, and it will give us a list of all those shares that have met that criteria, nothing in the ASX 20 today. So you can simply run a scan on the indicator that you're looking for from here. You don't have to combine them or put them together. What we'll have a look at in one of the later presentations is the trading system, and the trading system allows you to test your idea and see how it works historically. And so you can see that if you're happy using the accumulation indicator, then you can certainly do that. So that's one way to approach it. So you don't have to combine indicators like we are, but the functionality is there if you choose to use it. So just shooting back down. The other one, I created one earlier, which is a combination of oversold, and this combines two different oversold indicators. So you can have, if we go back to the Analyser Wizard, and have a look at the oversold indicator, what I've got is a commodity channel index that we're looking at and a Bollinger Band also both being triggered, so two oversold signals together. And put those two together, I can then run the analyzer on the oversold one and get a list of shares that meet that criteria. A different list from what we've had earlier. Again, we'll copy that out into the watch list just one more time. Hold down your Shift key, click on the bottom one. So click on the top, hold down Shift, click on the bottom, highlights the list, Control C, and we can then import that into the watch list. We've got those shares now in here. Save our watch list, and that was scan 1. We've got the other shares in as well from earlier. We could clear the watch list and import the list, and then save that as scan 2. Tell it OK. And then we can go into any chart, right click on the chart, select the watch list, scan 2, and now I can scroll through those shares using the buttons at the top here. So moving through, there's BHP, Santos, and Woodside. So I can scan through the market very quickly using that setup. So a great way to take your results and flick through your results through there. So that's sort of a quick rundown on the Analyzer and the Analyser Wizard and what you can do with those. So if there are any questions on those, on what we've talked about already, or any other questions around anything in the program, open it up now and please let me know. Just type in your question and I'll address them as they come through. Just a note from customer support. Tuesday, Wednesday evenings, the customer support are available to 9 PM on Tuesday and Wednesday for the whole of April. So they're there to answer your questions as you go through it. So a good opportunity to catch up, and if you've got questions, they can help you out with that. There's a question from Lorena. Is there any way the code box in the MA7 charts can be made larger? Not possible to make the code box over here larger through here. It's something that a comment from that we're taking a look at that, because particularly if you get a longer code, amp.asx is okay, but when you get into some of the futures codes like crude oil or something, it does sort of disappear a little in the chart. So it's something we're aware of, but it's and apparently the W codes are giving some problems. So something like Woolworths, and there's the W's pops off the left. So what we're doing is having a look at that and trying to sort those issues out. Comment from Kirsty. I've been told to use open, high-low bars. Why do you prefer candlesticks? Good question. The information contained in an open, high-low, closed bar is exactly the same as in a candlestick. You've got 4 pieces of information. Your open on the left, your close on the right, the top's the high and the bottom's the low. So those are the 4 pieces of information. That information is also contained in a candlestick, so you're not actually seeing anything different. The reason I prefer candlesticks is I just find them a little easier to see. So rather than having to look for these little bars on either side of the bar through here, just click on the candles, and the candles have a body where the bottom is the open, the top is the close for a green candle, and the low is the bottom of the spike or the wick, and the high is the top of the wick. The red candles is just the upside down version, so the opens at the top and the closes at the bottom. And I find candlesticks a little easier to see what happened today. As I can see there, the open green candle, the share went up today. With the open, high, low, close bars, I've got to look at the left there. We've got the open, and the right we've got the close. So I've got to see those little bits sticking out the side to actually see what's going on. No different information is visible in a candlestick or a bar. It's the same information you're looking at, and it does come down to a personal preference. So if you're happy using the open, high, low, close bars, then please carry on doing that. Question from Brendan: is it possible to use the broadcast facility when scanning a watch list? The broadcast facility doesn't work from the analyzer, so if you pop into the analyzer and I want to say broadcast this, there's no right-click functionality in the analyzer. So the only one you've got is double-click, which brings up the one. So what we've got here is we've brought up the chart by double-clicking on it, but we can't broadcast through the program. What we can do is scan the watch list like I've shown you how to do through the watch list. The broadcast pushes it into every piece of the program, and I can do that from the watch list. Now that I have these in the watch list, I can right-click and broadcast from there, and that highlights the chart, the market depth, and the other chart that I've got open underneath. So all of the charts that I have up will actually now be highlighted with BHP, so the broadcast will push it into everything. So all of these have the broadcast functionality. So you can't broadcast directly out of the analyzer, but you can broadcast from the watch list when you create a watch list. But generally it's far more useful to split through the watch list by right-click, select the watch list, which one, scan to, and then flicking through the watch list through here is a much easier way to look through the list to see what's going on. But you can use the broadcast from the watch list, right-click on the share. Stuart, the similar answer to the question, can you right-click on the scan stock and then use the D2MX trade tools to undertake further evaluation before moving to a watch list? Not directly out of the analyzer you can't, but from the watch list, once you've created it and saved it as scan 1, you can then take a look at any information about it. So you could look at the security info and see whether the company is profitable, earnings per share are positive, dividends are positive, and see that before going any further with the share. The best trick is to move it into the watch list, and then from the watch list you can then do your analysis from there. So Neil, if I wish to save a particular equity identified by the analyzer to a watch list after assessing from the chart, can I save from the chart? So you can add the share to a watch list from the chart. So if you like the look of the share that you found, you can add it to a watch list and choose the watch list that you want to add to. So it's simply a right click on the chart. You like the look of this one, add to watch list, and I can put it into Jeff's watch list. And now that share will be added to my watch list. We're looking at Woodside. If I go and find my watch list over here, use the watch list, I'll put it into Jeff, and scroll down, Woodside is now in that watch list. So you can right click and save it into your watch lists just like you could in the previous version of MA Pro. Vincent, question, is a step-by-step booklet on how to use the new version of Market Analyser 7? At this stage there's not. It is something that we've had a couple of requests for now, and it's something that we'll look to put together. We're putting together some sort of cheat sheets, as they're called, which basically is a quick run through on how to use particular aspects of the program, but it sounds like there's a bit of interest in a fuller manual, and so it's something that we'll take on board and take a look at that. Can the MA7 program be used offline, i.e. to run tutorials and for training? Just to explain the two components of MA7 program, there's two pieces to it. One is the IRIS platform, which is the market data. So that's your watch list, your market depth, and the fundamental data. That's a web-based program, so you'll need a web connection to do that in order to load that. The other piece is the Market Analyser charts and essentially the D2MX trade tools, which are software-based, so they'll need to be on your computer to be able to access those. So it's not really set up to run offline, so for tutorials or for training. You can run the IRIS piece on any computer, it doesn't matter which computer you're on, but it will need an internet connection to do that. And you'll have to, if you want to run the D2MX trade tools, it will need to be on your computer because that's where those tools are loaded. So it doesn't run offline, but it can be run on any computer, certainly the IRIS Trader side of it, but it will need an internet connection. If you're after some of those cheat sheets, as we call them, if you can email the customer care, and they'll actually send you those through. So customer care, just drop them an email, customercare@mdsfinancial.com.au, or give them a call, 1300 363 766, and they'll give you some of those cheat sheets so that you can work through those and just take you through step by step how to use different aspects of the program. The other thing that you'll see is these recordings are available on the Trader Dealer blog, and so you can go and sit through these recordings, these webinars again, and look at how to do things from there as well. Stuart, can you preset the Analyser to undertake scans at set times throughout the day and then send an alert to a remote computer or phone? No, would be the simple answer to that one. You can set up alerts in the program which can send emails remotely, but at this stage the Analyser, there's no functionality to set an alert on an indicator. So you'd have to run the scan, and you can run it and that will give you an alert, a signal if the indicator is triggered. But you can't preset to run one at say 10:30 and 12:30 and 3:30 each day and then send you results. It's sort of a matter of running it, and then you can set an alert for if the price level is reached, then send me an email. So you can use the alerts to send the email, but there will be a bit of calculation to work out what price that share has to reach to make that work. So it would be possible, Stuart, to do that using the alerts, but it's a bit of a fiddly one to do. It's not quite as easy to do that. But remember, you can run you can have the program on a computer at work potentially, and just run it through quickly, and also have it on a computer at home where you do your analysis as well. So that's a possibility. Helen, having some problems with the audio there. Just see if Ben can get the, just have a chat to Ben on that, the customer desk, and just see if he can sort that out with you. It seems to be pretty good on other ones. Now, so yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with your audio there. So Stuart, yeah, the multiple computers, yes, you can run on multiple computers or multiple PCs, so you can load it into more than one computer. The only restriction is you can't be logged in two computers at the same time. So you only can be logged into one computer at one time. But that's the only restriction there, Stuart. So are there any other questions out there? We've got a reasonable number of questions coming through, which is great. Who's that one? Neil. Out of the box. That's certainly out of the box. Neil, I'd like to see median lines or Andrews pitchfork lines as commonly known included in MA7 as an analyzer tool. Any chance of putting to the attendees an expression of interest to be forwarded to MDS? I placed a forum post regarding the same. That's no problem. Basically put it through. There's a development program ongoing, and what we'll be doing is adding in the features that people are requesting. Obviously there's functionality that's going to be ahead of that. There are other things that we're working on at the moment, but it's certainly something we can look at in the future. So keep it on the forum and keep the home fires burning on that one, and essentially it can be added in a later release. Brian, if you want to go through the dynamic data link, the best bet there is to have a chat to the customer support about that one. Not something we'll be actively promoting, so just have a chat to customer support about that particular thing that you're wanting to do there. Stuart, do you wants to know how to send an alert? Okay, no problem. Up in your user setup in here, you've got preferences. So we'll just run through how to send an alert. User preferences, and in the user preferences you've got alerts. I've got an email address here which I've set up and put in, this is where the emails will be sent when the criteria are met. So that's setting up the alert as far as making the preferences, so which email address I want it sent to. We can get a default subject which just basically says what the criteria is, or you can write your own message as well. So you can put in a custom message, indicator triggered. The default one is pretty good because it tells you what happens, so it's probably worth using that. Tell it OK. Then once you've got it set up, your email address under the user functionality, go into Analytics and go to Alerts. And with the Analytics, you've got alerts in here. Now, what I can do is add an alert, just plus add an alert, and the alert type on price, I can get alerts if a news report comes out on the day, but if we get the price, and the last price is next for BHP is greater than or equal to $40. Now, one little trick here, because it's in cents, this needs to be 4,000. If you type in 40, that's greater than 40 cents. So 4,000, if BHP is greater than 4,000, then click on that, finish, and that alert is now set up. It's now active, and it will notify me once, and sorry, it's set up in the browser. I'll just go and edit that. So if BHP next, so notify, how do I notify? Only once, then disable, every time the condition becomes true. And do I want the browser, in other words, a window to pop up on my computer, or I don't want an email? I want an email in this case. Next. and finish there. And now I'll be notified just the first time that BHP reaches $40, and I'll be sent an email when that occurs. So that's how you set up your alerts. You can add, delete, edit them, disable them, and configure was just setting up your email address as to what the alerts are. You'll also get a list next time you open of the alerts that have been triggered and when they were triggered as well. So that's under your analytics, your alerts in there. So I hope that answers the question there, Stuart, what you're looking for. As far as Steve, the question, will the MA7 have the ability to back up and restore my data settings? Things like your watch lists are held on the servers, so that information is actually stored off your computer and is automatically backed up. The thing that isn't backed up automatically or backup feature is the settings that you have in your own computer. So those are all created in my documents. So if you go into, where are we? Oh, I've got it in here. Into my documents, you've got the Market Analyser 7 in here. And we've got the charts in here and the analyzer scripts that I've created. These are what you've got to back up in here. So copy those to a backup drive. But they're in my documents and then Market Analyser 7, and these are the information to back up. All of your other information, your watch list and that, is backed up automatically on the servers, but the chart information and the analyzer scripts are backed up in here. So that's where you need to back up. There's not a specific tool to do it, but pretty easy to find those and copy them through. Stuart, the text alert is not available currently. It's only available as an email alert at this stage. And with the new rate of cell phones out, iPhones and Android phones, etc., it's pretty easy to get an email and alert from that. So at this currently no text alert is available, but the email alert can go to a smartphone quite easily. Is there an audio alert? The pass. In the browser, it just pops a window up in the browser. I don't think we have the audio functionality. So the browser, it just pops up. Steve, I don't know whether you can answer that. Is there a audible signal? Yeah, just check the configure is only, there's only where we send the information. So no, it's not audible, Brian. It's a pop-up window which can totally take over your computer if you want, but it's a pop-up window rather than an audible alert. You need a siren. Yeah, nice big one. Air raid siren, watch out. So Stuart's comment, you need a siren attached. So yeah, not at this stage. Is there an instant messenger like there was in Market Analyser Pro? Again, not the functionality of the instant messenger hasn't come across. It is being worked on and created, so that instant message functionality will exist in a new release, but not currently available, but it will come across. So working on it at the moment. Constantine boxing glove. We're getting very creative. There's one for the development team, Steve. Boxing glove out of the screen. Most programs, when you get an email, the email has an audible alert. So you could set up an audible alert on your email and send yourself an email which gives an audible alert. That's one way around it. The boxing glove is obviously one for future development. Keep Craig awake at night trying to work that one out. Okay, so any last questions there before we wrap up for the evening? Okay, Neil, we're going to leave it with your comment then. One for the development team to work on. And thank you all very much for coming along this evening. The Analyzer allows you to scan the market to find opportunities. A good question from Elizabeth, how far away is the portfolio? We're expecting an announcement on that in the next week or so. It's certainly getting a lot closer, and we'll be explaining how that will work with the new program. So there's a portfolio release coming soon, and we'll get an announcement on that out hopefully later this week. So not too far away, Elizabeth. But with the Analyzer, you've got the ability to scan the market and find opportunities for what it is that you're looking for in the market. Big steps forward in this program is you're now able to scan on the current data, so the last traded price, not yesterday's information. And that's quite an amazing, major step forward and gives you a lot of opportunities. You can scan on any watch list that you choose, and the whole ASX market is coming, as well as the filtering by volume and by price, so that that can all come along and will give you that functionality. It's all being worked on at the moment. The Analyser Wizard allows you to customize and put anything together into different, you can combine indicators or combine a look-back period to see whether the indicator is triggered in a certain last period of time. Brian, just a quick question there. Can scanning be done on intraday data? No, it's done on a daily basis, but it's done on the last traded information. So it's always a daily scan, but it's done on the last traded information. So yes, it's sort of intraday, I guess semi-intraday, but it's not like we're scanning on a 5-minute chart looking for a moving average crossover in a 5-minute chart. We're looking at moving average crossover on a daily chart, but has it occurred in the last 5 minutes? We'll be able to see that. And so with the Analyser Wizard, we combine indicators together to create a range of criteria, and then we can scan for that. So the sky's the limit with that. Once you've got your scan results, you can then copy those through to a watch list, and from the watch list you can actually then do all your analysis from there, flicking through the charts to look at the different shares, or going out, right-clicking, broadcasting the data, or going through and checking the fundamental information, any other information about the shares. And to copy them from the Analyzer across, you just highlight the shares. Analyzer's not there. Highlight the list of shares and copy them into a watch list. And once they're in the watch list, you can then scan, analyze, and do all of that. So thank you very much for your attendance this evening. Great to have you all on board, and I look forward to catching up at the next presentation on the Analyzer. And what we'll be looking at is how to do those weekly scans that were asked for earlier in the evening, how you can go about, and some of the more advanced features in the scanning package.